We've all gathered here today to commemorate 20th Century Fox in the early 2000s lines of superhero films. From the Fantastic Four to Elektra, from X-Men to Daredevil. Some were amazing, some were great, some were horrible, and most were just kind of okay. But no matter the quality, the movies, they were unmistakably Fox and unmistakably unique. And this is a Requiem for 20th Century Fox. Yeah, that get-up was just for that opening bit. It's too hot today to wear that where I'm filming the whole video, so you know what? We're just gonna go off the cuff, a little more casual for this part. So, Deadpool and Wolverine came out a little while ago, and I just saw it a few days ago. It was a little slow to the punch, but you know, that's just how it is with work and everything. But yeah, it was a really good movie. It had everything you would want from a movie. It had action, it had stakes, it had pretty dang good effects, a lot of practical locations, which is what I always like to see. And it also had a lot of cameos. A lot of cameos from people you have probably seen before in the 20th Century Fox superhero movie lineup. Now, spoilers ahead, I'm going to be revealing some of these cameos. So, you want to click off? Do it right now. It's a good movie. Bottom line. Good movie. A lot of the cameos are from people like Wesley Snipes from the New Line Cinema movies. They even get a mention of the Punisher from the 80s, the one Dolph Lundgren was in. They have Elektra. That terrible movie. They mention Daredevil. They talk. And of course they have X-23. That Gambit movie that was never made, of course, because, of course, the movie that was never made. I love his inclusion here, because you could tell his dialogue is purposefully bad. Has a great cameo from Johnny Storm, of course, played by Chris Evans, of course. And I love the joke was they killed him off early because they couldn't afford to pay him more, because, you know, Chris Evans is expensive. He played Captain America. Yeah, of his cameo of his version of Johnny Storm. It was just a great old time. Highly recommend. But what it also was a goodbye letter. It was a requiem to those old Fox movies from the early 2000s. A series which varied in quality quite a bit. I would not say its track record was amazing. Some were great, such as Logan. Some were okay, like Wolverine. And some were awful, like X-Men Origins Wolverine, not to be confused with the Wolverine. And some, but I will say, most were just okay. But I will say one thing about them. While I think Marvel is more statistically, has higher quality on average, I don't think, they just feel like, a lot of them don't really feel unique anymore. But back then, it was kind of an interesting event. And let me take you back to my memories of these films. Back when I was probably about 5 years old. I was born in the late 90s. I was over at my cousin's house. My cousins brought home something from a rental store. Yes, we used to have rental stores back then, even in the early 2000s. They brought this movie that I think was just released for rental and DVD. It was called X2 X-Men United. Of course, it had Nightcrawler to it, which was my favorite X-Men for the longest time and still is now. It kind of interests me, of course, because I saw the Tobey Maguire movies first. I was really into Spider-Man. But my brother was really into X-Men, which makes sense. He was born in the early 90s. That was the time for the X-Men. Of course it was. All the Apocalypse storyline and the, of course you got Cable and Rob Liefeld doing his nonsense. And you got X-Force. So yeah, my brother really liked the X-Men. He's not a big superhero fan, but he will show up for an X-Men movie. And I wouldn't be surprised if he went and saw this movie today. He likes Deadpool. He likes the X-Men. And I really like that it's the only superhero franchise he likes. But I'm really glad he takes a big interest in it. And then we went on. They would always be on DVD because we didn't go to the theaters much as kids. I would always get them on DVD, especially if they came to rental. My cousins loved to rent new movies that were coming to rent. We had a local store. It was a local mom and pop store, not too far from us. Even out here in the boonies, there were places to rent, which was actually really nice and kind of nostalgic in the way. You would see the line of VHSs and DVDs. Yeah, they still did rent VHSs back then for us. And they would get mostly X-Men movies because my cousins loved X-Men. Like I said, they were raised in the 90s. They loved X-Men. And a lot of the other films that they made were really interesting, like the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four duology of the mid-2000s. I will say, they're not great movies. I don't know if they're actually good, but they are interesting, I'll say that. They are unmistakably unique. Take that any way you would take it. And it is quite a shame that these kind of unique movies are gone. For good and for bad. A lot of for bad. Because I will say, as much as I do like the Marvel movies, I think they are statistically better on average. The machine-like lineup does take a lot out of some of them. I'd say the only recent movies, MCU movies, that I've really been great for are Deadpool and Wolverine. Of course, you get Far From Home and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Because they all had unique voices behind the wheel. And as bad as some of these movies are from 20th Century Fox for the super movies, they were unique. Tim Story, despite his skills at directing this movie, was pretty unique. And despite all the alleged kind of crap things that happened behind the scenes there. And I don't really like Daredevil, at least the theatrical cut, but I will say it is a trip all itself. And Elektra, I will say the less said about the bad, but it is a shame that we're losing these kind of movies. Because I remember back in the early 2000s, just having one superhero movie wasn't a fit, and now we're having one about every single year. And is that sustainable? I don't know if that's sustainable or not. We might have a hard time trying to sustain that. I don't like going to the theater as much. I got like a 40-minute drive to go to the theater. It's only for special occasions. So can I actually see every Marvel movie in theaters? Probably not. I do think Marvel's a little oversaturated right now. Which is a shame, because I think they were once great, and I think they can be pretty good again. Now, recent news has had me worried. But let's see if we can get back on track. I don't know if we can, but let's do it. This is a Requiem for the 20th Century Fox Studios. And it's a hopeful message for what's to come in the MCU. And I hope it gets better. This is the Beagle Nerd. Signing off. Like, subscribe, all of that stuff.